Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Algorithm of Knowledge. If you are new to this channel, please do subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. In the last video, I have showed front-end languages and some of most commonly used frameworks. In this video, I will share basics about backend languages and their frameworks. Along with this, I will also give a small talk about the database, which are used along with these backend languages. What is the term backend? What you think backend means? Backend in programming refers to all the collection of elements that build some functionality in a server. All the services to be consumed by an application, whether it is a mobile application or a web application. So I say it is everything that happens on the server side. Just think of databases with millions of records. In this database, the data itself will be stored only with the help of some logic triggered by the events in front end. It can then be used in a certain way and consumed by user to the already mentioned server-side logic, which is the code that runs in the back end. So basically, it is like the interaction with the database, files, transcoding of videos, images, audios, and etc. Let me explain you with an example. Let's assume you have a switch. It looks easy, right? Now, a question is how this switch works. As you can see here, this is what make it works. This is the back end of the switch. So what you see on the web page or web application is just the front end. The backend is all the garbage you have to do to get that HTML, CSS, JavaScript and the data to the users. This is what makes your website truly dynamic and interactive. All the web applications have some common needs from backend. Some of them are user registration and user account management, file management and file uploading, and database management. So these are some basic features which are used by all the web applications. Now let me tell you about some backend languages which are most popularly used by the web developers. Your backend could be anything like PHP, which is hypertext preprocessor, JavaScript, which is a scripting language, Java, which is object-oriented language, and Python, which is high-level language. If you want to be a backend developer, then the basic skills you will first need is being conversant with at least one of the above programming languages. Besides this, you will also need to understand how the web works. To know this, you should have a very good understanding of client-server architecture, HTTP or HTTPS protocols. Let's start in detail with all these programming languages. The very first one is PHP. PHP is a server-side scripting language which is used to manage the dynamic content of the website. It is most commonly used language in the web development because it allows web developers to create dynamic web content that interacts with the database. Let me tell you some common features of PHP. The most common one is it is open source. It is readily available and is entirely free. In contrast to other scripting languages which are used for web development, which requires the user to pay for the support files, but PHP is open to everyone, anytime and anywhere. Also, you can create web pages with the database. It can encrypt the data and can apply validation. You can do things like creating a username and password, login pages, registration pages, check details from a form, create forums, picture galleries, surveys, and many more. The list is long indeed. The next best feature of PHP is that it can interact with many different database languages. So, PHP users can add, delete, modify data from the database. The next feature is PHP code can be embedded into HTML. Yes, PHP code can be written along HTML code or inside the HTML code. PHP can also handle forms, that is, it can gather data from files through emails. You can send data, return the data to the user, and save the data into the file. So these are some common features of PHP which are mostly used by web developers in web applications. In short, I must say, any task that cannot be done by usual front-end technologies is handled by a server-side programming language like PHP. So PHP is must for students and for working professionals to become a great software engineer, especially when you are working in web development domain. The next is JavaScript. As in the last video, I have already discussed about JavaScript in front-end languages. You might be confused, is JavaScript front-end or back-end? So let me tell you, JavaScript is used for both front-end as well as back-end programming. It is used to extend the functionality of websites. The user can range from on-screen visual effects to processing and calculating the data on the web pages with ease, as well as extended functionality to the website using third-party scripts among several other handy features. It is a dominant web development technology with unique features. To understand JavaScript in a better way, just think about the certain web features you are using every day and likely to take for granted. Like when you use your Facebook, your FB timeline automatically updates on your screen. This is all done by the JavaScript. Let me show you one example about Google. Have you ever wondered how Google suggests the search term based on the first few letters you have typed? So this is done by the JavaScript which works on the backend of Google. So JavaScript has made a good place in web development. It has been around for over 20 years now. It becomes a favorite for many up and coming web developers in the recent years. Now let's move to other language, that is Java. Java is widely used programming language, expressly designed for use in the distributed environment of the internet. It is a general purpose programming language that is class-based and object-oriented. If you are a beginner and just started learning Java, then you might be thinking where exactly Java is used. So let me tell you, it is used to create complete web applications or Android applications that may run on a single computer or be distributed among servers and clients in the network. It can also be used to build a small application, module or applets. Java is still widely used in the web development, and some years ago it was probably one of the most used language in full stack. The next programming language is Python. It is an interpreted high-level general-purpose programming language. Nowadays, it is gaining its popularity in the IT world as it is well organized and easy to understand, so it can be used for other types of programming and software development besides web development. It is good for people who don't know anything about programming and are just getting started with programming. Python has simple and clear syntax just like you would write some standard English. The best example I can give is YouTube. Python has literally added the dynamic, scalable and flexibility features to YouTube. It has also been an important part of Google, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Netflix and many more since the beginning. And some Microsoft products also include Python support. So this was about the backend languages, and in addition to these backend languages, you will have to come across some frameworks along with these backend languages. So let's start with the frameworks. Backend frameworks. Here the first one is Laravel. It is a free and open source PHP web framework designed by the Taylor Otwell. It is mostly used for the development of web applications. This framework mostly follows MVC architectural pattern. MVC is Model View Controller. If you are familiar with core PHP and advanced PHP, then Laravel will make your tasks more easier in developing web application. It may save a lot of time if you are planning to develop a website from scratch. When it comes to security, website built in Laravel is secure and prevents several web attacks. The next framework is CodeIgniter. It is most popular PHP framework used for developing web application. As similar to Laravel, it also follows MVC architectural pattern. It provides out-of-the-box libraries to the developer for connecting to the database and to perform various operations, such as sending emails, uploading files, managing sessions, etc. Let's move to the next framework, that is Node.js. It is an open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment that executes JavaScript code outside a web browser. It is the only framework which lets developers to choose how to use either front-end or back-end. One of the features of Node.js is that we can run Node.js on various platforms such as Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, etc. The next JavaScript framework is Mature. It is a free and open source isomorphic JavaScript web framework. It was first released in the year 2012. If I say about this framework, then I must say it is a bit different, as it allows for rapid prototyping and produces cross-platform code. If you are a beginner to web development, then this framework may not be of your best suit, because it is a bit more complex than you think. However, once you get your hands on it, you would not regret it. The next framework here is Spring. It is one of the most popular open source application development framework for enterprise Java. Yes, it is a Java framework, and it is most commonly used by all the developers. It helps the developers to create high-performing, easily testable and reusable websites. It was first released under the Apache 2.0 license in the year 2003. The next Java framework is Hibernate. It is also an open source and lightweight, which is most commonly used by developers. The most common feature of this is that a programmer does not have to worry about the implementation, as the Hibernate itself does the implementation internally. For example, it establishes a connection with a database, or it can be writing a query to perform CRUD operations, and etc. The next framework here is Django. It is a high-level Python web framework. It follows the Model Template View architectural pattern, which is Model View Controller pattern. It was launched in the year 2005. The main feature of Django is that it eliminates the repetitive task, making the web development process an easy and time-saving experience. The next framework of Python is Flask. It is a micro framework. Also, we can say that it is a third-party Python library which is used for developing web applications. It also provides tools, libraries, and many technologies which makes our work easy in web development. It is based on the WorkZew WSGI toolkit, which is a utility library, and Jinja 2V template, which is an engine. So this was all about the backend languages and their frameworks. As I already told you, along with these frameworks, the backend language also uses the database. So let's move to databases which are used by the web developers. Your website needs a database to manage all the customer and product information. If you need to access data stored on the database from within a certain system or application, you can use MySQL or Oracle. MySQL is a relational database management system based on SQL structured query language. It works on many operating systems and with many languages such as PHP, C, C++, Java, etc. It is very friendly to PHP and it is most appreciated language for web development. If you use PHP, I would recommend to look for the ADODB library. It makes your life easier if you want to graduate from MySQL to some other database. Oracle. It is a repository which stores data. The developers use this repository with different languages like C, C++, Java, COBOL, SQL and Visual Basics. They can choose the language in which they are most proficient as one that is most suitable for a specific task. Backend developers need to be familiar with tools like MySQL, Oracle or SQL Server to find, save or change the data and serve it back to the user in front-end code. So these are the two databases which are used by the web developers, or I must say full stack developer or a backend developer. I hope this video got you a clear vision about backend development languages and their frameworks along with the database. In the next video, I will tell you about the career of a web developer. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe.